in the context of how the document is structured, I guess it does make sense because it tells you you have like a certain division for a section of the document. So, for example, if you had a header, you would put the header under a div, and then if you had like a sort of contents, the rest of the contents of the web page, you could call that your mini body, and those would all be separated by divs because they're separated divisions, which is what div means. So the next thing we have is unordered list. These allow you to create bulleted items. It's also pretty useful. Not really much to explain yet. So now we're going to talk about sort of the nested HTML tags, which, sorry, what was your name?
I think you evolve.
What's that?
When you make evolve.
Evolve?
Evolve.
Uval. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so Uval, sorry. So Uval was sort of touching upon this aspect earlier about having mismatched tags. And with HTML, you have to have matched tags and proper nesting in order for the document to be interpreted properly. You may get lucky and like make an error, and then the browser will just kind of be a little smart enough to be able to interpret the HTML correctly. But in order to write proper HTML, you have to be able to nest tags in the proper way. So when you start something, you can't just sort of end it midway. Like in the example earlier that Yuval gave, where you would have a bold tag, and you would have a paragraph tag, or sorry, a paragraph tag, a bold tag, a paragraph tag, and then a closing bold tag, and then a closing paragraph tag. So that wouldn't work and isn't right at all, because you have to be able to match the tags and nest them properly, like sort of the parentheses that you use when you do a lot of algebra. All right, this is about tables. So tables have sort of several related elements to them. They have a TH element, which stands for table head, a TR, which stands for table row, and a TD, I don't know what the D stands for. But, oh, it's data. Oh, okay, so it's table data. And those specify the sort of individual cells in the table itself. And there are also a couple of attributes that go along with the table that you should specify if you're making tables. One of them is call span. I have an example of what that is later. Cell spacing sort of specifies the amount of space you have between the text and the surrounding of the cell itself. And then you have cell padding, which specifies sort of those like the divisions between each cell. So here's an example of a table, and what we started with is a table row, and in the table row we specified a table header with a call span of 2. And what call span means here is that it's a column that spans across two columns, which is specified here. So in this case, candies get stretched across over 2 columns for the table below. And in the second row, we have table data for just a random name and then a value for that table. And we also specified cell padding, which sort of is the area around here. And earlier I talked about an attribute called cell. Yeah, cell spacing, which will sort of tell you the space in between individual cells, like right here. Sure. Yeah.
So if you've done any kind of web design before, like a long time ago, you might have done your layout with tables, and this looks kind of perfect, right? So you have a header here, like content and sidebar, and maybe a footer, so it looks like it matches up really well. But this is really bad practice to do because tables don't really give you any kind of flexibility over your layout, or like maybe you want something more intricate, and you should really be using CSS for your layout and positioning. So when you use tables, do not use it for layouts. You should actually just use it for what it was meant for. So like doing data, like if you have any kind of like data that needs to be laid out in a table-like fashion, use it for that. But don't use it for your entire like, website layout. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this lecture. So about the lab and stuff you need to do today. So have you uploaded the lab? Okay, we're gonna upload the lab in a couple of minutes. And you just need to complete the basic first part, which will ask you to do some HTML tasks. And is there an extra?
So this year, we got a lot of feedback last semester about people who are more advanced, wanting more advanced kind of like things to work on. And so we decided to add this extra for experts kind of optional part of the lab. For those of you who already know HTML, kind of already want to know whatever the lab is, or already know whatever the lab is about and want to kind of do something extra or more advanced. We actually don't have an extra for experts for this lab, just because I wanted to do something with HTML Canvas, but it's like, apparently a lot of it is like JavaScript, so you need to know JavaScript to do a lot of those cool like HTML effects and stuff like that. So we're going to be covering HTML5 after we do JavaScript. So there's actually no extra for experts during this lab, but we'll be having it for like the other labs for those of you who already know this material and want to do something more advanced, or even those of you who just want to like challenge yourself. Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah. So the basic task for today is just to complete the first part of the lab. And after that, there's some instructions, some mini instructions about how to upload files to your account. And that's also another thing you'll have to do by today, so that later on when you get mini projects and stuff, you'll know how to work the system.
And also, when you FTP it, we already know what your, everyone has kind of a uniform URL that this website is going to be uploaded to, and it's going to be comprised of your like ID. So that's how we'll be creating the labs. We'll be going online and looking to where you're supposed to have uploaded it. So don't forget to do that.
Okay. Yeah, and one last thing is, I know there's like a lot of information about HTML, and it was pretty boring, so hard to pay attention to. So one of the resources that you should use if you want to sort of get a better feel of the HTML syntax is w3schools.com. They're a really great resource in sort of testing things out. They have like a little interface where you can try things and see what it looks like when it's rendered. So it's a pretty excellent resource, and that's really like honestly how I learned how to do my HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So it's great stuff.
So we'll be uploading the lab right now. If you haven't finished your quiz yet, make sure you submit your quiz, and the rest of you can get pumped up for the lab. Okay, so there's a button that says submit assignments. If you don't know how to submit your quiz, right here. Right next to where you actually saw the document under assignments, there's a view/add button or link, and then you can upload your documents. Yeah, you can see it.
I think I know. Just like any.
Are you uploading the lab?
Oh yeah, sorry. So with the HTML you learned today, you'll be able to do awesome stuff like this, and this. Yeah. So your HTML skills will get you this. Okay.
But you're so mean.
Where's the website?
Your HTML skills will get you this. It's the world's worst website.
What's on?
So the actual world.
Oh.
There usually is a bathroom there, but I think it's locked. I don't know.
I don't think so. They're like official.
I think most of the buildings are locked. I know. Sorry.
Trying to upload my quiz and just giving me a content can't be blank. I think the code might be a little bit short. The string in this is kind of a black string on here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Honestly, the back was pretty like that. This is
Unnecessary. One favorite.
Oh, are you saying? I hope it's not a bad song.
No, it's business related. I looked it up and then it was kind of confusing. It was in the slide when we were talking about the
Why are you doing this class too?
Actually, can you
Oh, yeah. I mean, about the.
Oh yeah, not like any of all
you can tell what's
Wait, is he physically what song? Oh, okay. Yeah, you play on the other side too? Oh, yeah. You're
Oh,
Oh, I should
You know they're coming out with like a reverse, like those things it's like video history coming out with a video
I always have to look up this way.
Well, you've all.
sometimes you look outside, it's like sunny and you go out and it's like, oh my god.
You don't know when it goes. I don't know what's 60 degrees. I'm 60 degrees. I'm 65 degrees.
It's okay. Yeah, this is not. No, I mean,
Holy web and then chat
It's control wheel.
control.
I think the wheel on the mouse is messed up, right? Because I know that some of the mouses here have messed up wheels. So it could just be that.
Okay, so I uploaded the instructions for the lab, but I'm still working on getting the files that are associated with it uploaded. But just go ahead and download the instructions for now and read over it.
Oh, you made up a space.
It's all good, we're still uploading.
What's your name?
What's your name? Hi, Amber. My
Just write it's the same stuff.
No, that, sorry, that is not the lab. Sorry, that's instructions for lab setup. We are with dialogue. Sorry. Give us a second.
Did you open the
If you haven't entered your attendances for today, please do it, or else it'll say you're absent. And then you may or may not fail if you get more than 3 absent, or 2 absent. Yeah, bro, just try that. Okay, okay, so you guys can go ahead and open the lab. It's in PDF format. We're going to upload another version, a PDF of the FTP instructions, so don't open that yet, because you don't need it yet. It's that giant one that says Web Design Decal Spring. Yeah. Yeah, what's up?
Do you have the number for the attendance?
Yeah. Hold on just a second. Okay. 021016. Okay. So 021016. 021016. Oh, are they all? Are you guys teaching? Wait, did you just say that? We can try to do that intro. Because you don't actually need to upload it.
It's gone.
The servers.
No, the file.
Oh, sorry, I changed the files.
Okay, now it's called Lab 1.
Okay. I just heard it.
Okay, so it's called, yeah, it's called lab one.
Oh, sorry. Also might be down.
Nova should be working.
Go, SFTP is Nova.
Can we just use this terminal on these?
Huh?
Can we just use the terminal on these?
Yeah, yeah.
Or no?
Just this.
Yeah.
Oh. That's true. That's true, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like your SSD.
Yeah. Well, everyone's just working on the library.
Oh. What are you done with?
So they're going to be on under assignment.
Okay.
So, or sorry, index. And then just these files. So index and screen. So you're going to actually want to open it with the text editor. So how do we actually open it? So just, it's okay. Just save the, you want to, oh, right. Yes. I'm sitting at your desktop right now. And you actually, because it's the HTML file, you want to try editing it. So you can open it with the editor. Oh no, just see. And then now you'll be able to edit the actual HTML file.
So this is only gonna have to open.
Yeah. So it's just like right here. Yeah. So this is what you'll be coding.
Okay.
So if you guys have never done any kind of coding before, what you want to do for the lab is you actually want to download the index.html file and then open it in a text editor. So like for example, you can search your computer for there's TextMate, which should be on all these computers. If there's not, you can use Emacs, spelled E-M-A-C-S. And just you can edit the HTML file in those. Because if you try to directly just click on the HTML file, it'll open in a browser by default. And you want to edit it, not do it.
Oh, no, I would open it in the email.
Yeah, so you want to download it, so just like right click.
Right click, maybe I'm doing well, I mean, I was told before in the Slack that I didn't write it down.
Oh, really? By, I think it's Are you right click by doing control and then click. Oh, actually. Cyberduck is a client, so what it actually does is it transports your files, and then this is the video. It's just a normal, so you're editing.
Not sure. I'm looking for the whatever program TextMate.
The HTML. Yeah. So that's what Amber meant, like control. Sorry, control click. So control click same to desktop. Is this gonna run some?
Save as. Like I want to copy the form.
Oh, there we go.
I tried to do open up. Oh, okay. Is this supposed to happen? Yeah, that's what I got. That's company and I'm Maxi. So so I never think about.
Okay, okay. Can you go back to the website?
Oh, is it because I said it's
It's the first time it's
I didn't know it was I have
Yeah.
or page like see those creepy monster things.
So go back to
I think this is like and there's all these crazy
yeah, and it was
I know that great. It is really great. I was like, oh, that's not good. I'm sorry. I looked at it. I like it. I really
I'm not sure because I don't use Safari. Okay. I don't know what page that is. Yeah. I really have no idea.
it's for HTML. So we just have to save it as a monsters.
I really don't know.
No. I'm
But
telling you.
okay.
Yeah, because this is.
Actually, sure, you got it.
I mean, if you track it to the text editor,
Yes. So if you look at this is the index that you just need to right click, and it's an HTML. And this is the web design that I just used exactly, but then saved as a page. I'm assuming.
Table border is a copy. It's not
So
the index slash
this is
table.
the other.
I mean, the best thing to do though is just track it.
So you're gonna want to have it.
But if I could, yeah.
So,
Page choice. Yeah, save as page choice. You can just say that. Just say Oh, so you've already saved it like that, so cancel it? So you've already saved it here. So now just go find the text editor, go to application, and then just use Acrobax Emacs, which is a text editor. And then it's it. So then,
John.
and then you can drag the next
Can I? John.
oh yeah.
and then you should get
I thought you were putting something different.
Oh, no. How do I turn it off?
maximize it.